Кого видишь фаворитом в этом бою?
Я не вижу шансов у Топури.
То есть ты считаешь, что Арман обыграет, да?
тоже не даю. Арман слишком дистанционно дерется. С ударниками держит дистанцию хорошо, ногами лучше работает. И сейчас уже Арман слишком хорошо. У него есть материал, который он может посмотреть и хорошо изучить.
After a brutal finish over the former champion, Ilia Topuria topped the pound-for-pound rankings, cementing himself as one of the UFC's biggest stars. Standing at the very top, Ilia's been relentlessly stalking Islam Makhachev, saying he's gonna be the one to submit him.
Against Islam, how do you see that fight going? If it goes to the ground, do you feel confident that you could out-grapple him, or would you try to keep it standing? And
my mindset is always the same. I'm always looking to achieve things that no one could. So someone could submit him. I will be the first one to submit him.
This is #1 bullshit.
But former title challenger Arman Tsarukyan didn't like this approach. He's been publicly challenging El Matador multiple times. Ilia, however, has declined those callouts, saying he'd rather retire than fight Arman. Is it fear, doubt in his chances, or simply cold calculation? In today's video, we're breaking down a potential clash between Arman and Ilia, analyzing their chances of victory, the key factors that could decide the fight, and under what circumstances this matchup might finally come to life. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to our channel unless you want Ilia to fight Justin. Let's go! Arman hasn't always been this critical of the newly crowned champ. Back when Topuria was ruling at 145, the Armenian fighter actually spoke highly of El Matador, even giving him props when discussing a potential showdown with Islam Makhachev.
Вес Топурия за счет чего ты считаешь может составить конкуренцию Исламу?
Потому что он низкий, ему будет тяжело проходить ему, сильно бьет.
The situation really started to heat up after Ilia publicly vacated his featherweight belt and announced his intentions to chase gold in the division where Tsarukyan was already the #1 contender. "I'm not interested in anyone except Charles or Islam," Topuria declared. The Armenian didn't take that statement lightly.
Чарльза я уже бил, хотелось бы Топури тоже побить, чтобы вообще все вопросы закрыть. Но если это будет Чарльз, я еще раз покажу, что я намного лучше. И что один, что второй боится.
Ahead of his title fight, El Matador took some serious shots at Arman, especially after Tsarukyan agreed to step in as a backup on short notice. And of course, the former champ didn't miss the chance to remind everyone about the time Arman pulled out of a fight with Islam. Despite all the tension and back and forth, Arman admitted that stylistically, Ilia would have no problem finishing Charles, and even predicted that Ilia will be forced to make his first title defense against him.
Твой прогноз на мейн-эвент, если все-таки ты не выскочишь, если ты будешь смотреть из зала?
Я буду смотреть, да, из зала. И тяжело сказать, но либо нокаут Топурия, либо по очкам Оливера.
I'm the best fighter in the world. And it's not that if I'm gonna win the belt, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna knock him out in the first round.
The miracle never came. Ilia stopped Oliveira in the very first round. Dana White later made it clear there would be no fight between Ilia and Paddy, at least not anytime soon, no matter how badly Ilia might want it.
Ilia, after the fight, he called in Paddy Pimblett and brought him into the cage, and they had to face off. Obviously, they've got a long history together. I know there's a lot of options on the table for Ilia, but when he shows that type of interest in a fight, does that make you want to make it?
Well, I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should have never happened. Let's start there.
Stylistically, though, a clash between Ilia Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan is one of the most fascinating matchups in the entire UFC. Both fighters are just 28 years old and right in their prime. Yet El Matador keeps brushing off the idea, even going as far as to say he'd rather retire than give Arman a shot.
It's not on my back. Bro, I don't fucking care. You're gonna give him a fight before the title shot. Because there is no way. I'm the world champion. I'm never gonna give him a chance to fight for the title. I will be like, listen, if that's the case, take my belt. I don't do it.
Meanwhile, Tsarukyan fires back, calling him a coward, with Habib and Islam fully backing Arman, pressuring Ilia to finally accept the fight.
В эту опасную дистанцию с Топури просто не зайдет.
Не зайдет, слишком уже есть бои, он уже может посмотреть, изучить. Если в начале где-то они как-то дрались бы, может быть, у него был бы шанс. Я например, 80 на 20, я вижу победителя Армана.
Я хотел задать вопрос Исламу. Считаешь ли ты Армана самым серьезным соперником для Ильи? И не кажется ли тебе, что Топурия избегает его?
Ну, что избегает, не секрет. Я уже видел там баталии в интернете, где он говорит, я лучше завершу карьеру, чем буду с ним драться. И я думаю на данный момент, что Арман набрал хорошие обороты, и это самый серьезный экзамен для чемпиона.
From Habib's team's perspective, the move is obvious. They understand that if Islam were to lose, he'd have to return to his natural weight class, and stylistically, a fight with Arman is a much safer matchup than one with Ilia. On top of that, it's far from guaranteed that Ilia would even be interested in Islam if he's about to lose to Madalena. In fact, Ilia himself has said multiple times that Islam would have to get in line.
This is #1 bullshit.
But let's focus on these two for now and finally talk about their potential fight, their skill sets, and the circumstances under which the UFC might actually make it happen. In the red corner, the 28-year-old Georgian Spanish warrior, the undefeated knockout artist and two-division UFC champion, Ilia Topuria. Though he made his name by putting opponents to sleep with his deadly bricks, Ilia is a basic wrestler, the first ever Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt out of Georgia. Ilia is the definition of the new generation fighter, a man who talks his talk and walks his walk, no matter who stands across from him.
It's day one that you feel you're going to be the first to knock him out in this fight in MMA.
No doubt about that. What makes me feel very excited about that fight is that no one could knock him out. And I'm like, there is no way I'm not gonna knock him out. I will be the first one to knock him out, because every time I watch him fight, I'm like, I'm way better than him. If you put me only with him in kickboxing or in boxing, even in a chess match, I beat him. Like, well, whatever you want to do, boy, I can beat you.
Many have tried to find holes in Ilia's game, like his kicking defense or potential glass jaw, but so far no one has been able to solve this puzzle. With nearly perfect takedown defense, sharp footwork, nasty calf kicks, and raw, beastly power, does Arman really have any chances here? Let's break it down. In the blue corner, the 28-year-old Armenian fighter, long regarded as the #1 threat to Islam Makhachev ever since their razor-close first grappling war, a master of freestyle wrestling and grappling, the king of ground and pound, and the proud owner of the strongest back in the entire roster.
This is #1 bullshit.
Right here and right now, Arman Tsarukyan is seen as the biggest threat to Ilia Topuria, thanks to his grinding wrestling, fighting style, and surprisingly sharp striking, including dangerous kicks to every level.
Topuria is gonna try to get up, just he's gonna like defend, he's not gonna like, and then you can like just go like 1,000 times to take him down, because there is no problems on the ground. He's not gonna try to choke you or something, you know.
Tsarukyan carries real knockout power, and most importantly, he's young. That alone fuels one of the main narratives from Ilia's critics, that the Matador only puts away fighters much older than him. Georgian wrestling versus Armenian wrestling. Who will be the one to impose their pace inside the cage? Some believe Arman will be able to drag Ilia into deep waters and finish him with relentless ground and pound. Others argue the opposite, that Topuria will have no trouble shutting Tsarukyan's lights out and sending him back to the hospital to nurse that back Once again, Paddy Pimblett has already spoken on how to beat Topuria. You've got to be a true mixed martial artist, impose your own fight, switch levels, and constantly make him think about wrestling. That's exactly what Arman is planning to do. Load Ilia's brain with many different kicks and constantly change floors trying to tire the champ's arms, while El Matador won't be changing his approach. Work on the feet and avoid heavy wrestling. You could argue that Ilia's grappling might be just as good as Arman's, and I'd agree with you. When it comes to pure submissions and the beauty of jiu-jitsu, I definitely give the edge to the new champ.
Black belt? Who give him that? We have to check that number.
But it makes little sense for him to test that aspect against a bigger, heavier opponent who builds his entire game around wrestling and ground and pound. That's why I expect Ilia to take a measured approach in the grappling exchanges. I don't think he'll shy away from Arman's guard if he cracks him and follows him down. But I also don't see him shooting for takedowns on his own, unless he gets rocked by something unexpected, like one of those switch head kicks Arman likes to set up, especially behind the jab. Ilia has already wrestled in championship fights, but more to prove he hasn't lost that skill than to truly rely on it. Take the Holloway fight, for example. Ilia scored an early takedown in the first round, just to plant the idea of wrestling in Max's mind and force him to lower his hands. From there, Ilia went to work, chopping at the legs, mixing his shots across all levels, and ultimately becoming the first man to ever put Holloway out cold. But who really is the true favorite in this fight? And are the odds makers getting it wrong? Let's find out. Despite many elite fighters claiming that Arman might just be Ilia's kryptonite, Topuria still opens as the clear favorite here and now. But first, let's figure out under what circumstances these two could even meet inside the cage. In November, Arman is set to face Dan Hooker, and with a dominant win, Tsarukyan could finally step out of Dana's shadow ban after that whole messy back injury saga.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
But then, what happens with the Islam versus Ilia fight? The matchup the entire world has been talking about for nearly a year. Dana has already made it clear. Both fighters need to score wins before they can meet in this mega fight. But under certain circumstances, the Arman versus Ilia matchup could end up a carbon copy of the Jones versus Aspinall situation. Picture this: Arman walks in and finishes Hooker, while Islam loses to Jack in November. What does Topuria do then? Tsarukyan will be out there talking trash, calling Ilia a chicken, something he's already started doing. And if Ilia then faces Gaethia sometime in January or February, Arman could be left waiting again, which benefits no one, especially if Islam loses. It's under exactly that scenario that we could realistically see Arman versus Ilia happening in the spring of 2026. As for the winner, I disagree with Khabib and Islam. In a 3-round fight, I'd give Arman solid chances. He could impose his pace, grind the fight out, and try to keep the new champ grounded. To be honest, I think Arman has the tools to take El Matador down. He's taken down both Islam and Charles before. The real question is how long he can keep Ilia on the mat without making a critical mistake. Let's be honest, Arman is a far more emotional fighter than Ilia. Tsarukyan nearly took out a fan on his way to the biggest fight of his life. In the 3rd round against Charles, he tried to choke Oliveira with just a minute left, even though the win was already in the bag. And only the bell saved him from that Darce. Arman is an elite, versatile fighter, but I do have questions about his fighting IQ and ability to control his emotions. Topuria, on the other hand, operates on a whole different level. He rarely makes mistakes, and when he does, he knows how to correct them. I'd call him a far more experienced fighter, even though he's only ever gone to the 5th round once in his career. I expect a crazy mental war over several rounds. I don't see a quick finish from either fighter, this is more likely to be a long, drawn-out battle, potentially going the full 25 minutes. As Khabib has said, in fights like this, the tiniest mistakes decide the outcome, and I believe Arman will make one. That's why I'm picking Ilia, either a late-round knockout or a decision. This is my official prediction.